The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
The Attitude Era is widely considered by many as the greatest product the WWE has ever had. Now, relive the entire journey with exclusive commentary, insights, and episodic discussion with head writer Vince Russo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to I guess it's the holiday edition of Raw. What was it good for? But we're not going to be looking at Raw today. We're going to be looking at Unforgiven, 1998, the big Inferno match, Austin versus Dude Love, evening gown match, a lot to talk about. All right, bro, Unforgiven. This is the big one. We've been building this all month long. Here's the pay-per-view in Greenville. Is it Greenville or Greensboro? Greensboro, North Carolina. They said it was the biggest show to ever watch a wrestling event. 21,000 and change. Take it away, Jeff.
I like the opening package. I want you to kind of tell us who's responsible for that type of stuff, who makes all these beautiful packages. I particularly like that with the Inferno match. They wove Dante's Inferno into this, and they used quotes from Dante's Inferno that fit, and I just thought that was magnificent. So who's responsible for that stuff?
It's all David Zahadi, bro. All David Zahadi, from the final piece to the idea to the use of Dante's Inferno. That's all Zahadi. I've talked to Zahadi about coming on the show. He says he gladly would. Bro, he was an artist. I mean, the packages he made, while at the WWE during this time. He still works for TNA. He's doing the same thing for them. But just unbelievable work. I'm going to bring him on sometime, but it was all David Zahadi.
We open up with a 6-man tag, and this is built off the storyline we've had the past month with Farouk leaving the nation, Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman joining his side. So we had a 6-man with Farouk, Shamrock, and Blackman versus the Nation, Rock, D'Lo, and Mark Henry. And the Babyface team gets the win. Farouk pins the Rock after hitting the Dominator. It was a pretty straightforward match, but Farouk gets the win, pinning the Rock. And Michael Cole comes around to interview Farouk after the match, and he thanks, Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman for helping him out. And he says it's just the beginning of a long war, kicking the Rock's ass and the rest of them. So you can tell that this Rock-Farouk rivalry is not over at this point.
Bro, I love the fact that we put Farouk over the Rock. And, like as soon as it was over, JR said, but he's still the Intercontinental Champion. So, that's how you build characters. You give Farouk a huge win over the up-and-comer Rock, but Rock's the Intercontinental Champion. So, bro, he could have a million excuses, put the heat on his partners. There's a million things he could say. But what really matters is he's still the Intercontinental Champion. This is how you get guys over. And, Rock has to cover it on the other side, and then everything's okay. Again, opposed to the even Steven that happens today. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Baloney. This got Farouk over. It didn't do any damage to the Rock whatsoever. To me, this is booking. This is how you get characters over.
I noticed something here, and it happened 2 or 3 times during the show, that there was an edit. Something was taken out of this.
Yeah, I noticed that too a couple times, bro.
Yeah, so I'm wondering how much stuff we miss, that's just not there. And I'm pretty sure later on that one of the things that was cut out was one of Edge's intro vignettes when he's in the subway and all that stuff, because It's a weird edit later on, and then JR goes, speaking of Edge, and then goes on. But like, they were
I
never
picked
talking
that
about
up too. Why would they cut that? I wonder.
Yeah, I have no idea. So I'm wondering if they cut a Val Venus thing out. Like, I hope it wasn't the one with Jenna Jameson. I hope that was on Raw. So I'm wondering how much stuff was cut out of it. But there was 2 or 3 times where you could tell there was a slice. So
it definitely was. Yep.
So next, what we see is Stone Cold comes to the ring. JR puts over that this isn't, it's not on the format. This isn't scheduled to happen. So Austin grabs the timekeeper and brings him in the ring. And he says last week that Vince McMahon told you to ring the bell, didn't he? And what he's referring to is on the Raw we did last week where Dude Love was wrestling Steve Blackman, put on the abdominal stretch. Blackman did not submit, but the bell rang immediately. So Austin's saying Vince told you to ring that bell, didn't he? And the timekeeper says, I rang the bell when I had to ring the bell. So he doesn't really answer the question. And then Austin says, if Vince McMahon screws him out of the title tonight, he's going to beat him up and down the aisles. And then after he's done with that, he's going to do the same thing to the timekeeper up and down the same aisles. He says, if you don't do what Vince wants you to do, he might fire you. But if you do what Vince wants, well, you can always find another job, but it will be hard to find another life because he's going to beat his ass so bad that he'll never work there again. This was interesting to me because we don't see this today. If we do, it's very rare. And this was quite common. We would have an in-ring at a pay-per-view. A lot of times it was also on Sunday Night Heat. We'd have huge angles when Sunday Night Heat debuts leading into the pay-per-view, but it's just building up more anticipation.
The timekeeper was Mark Yeaton, who I worked with for 5 years. I know Mark Yeaton. Bro, would you believe in those 5 years I never had one conversation with Mark Yeaton?
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Not one. Bro, Ed Ferrara was the kind of guy where like Ed and I would walk into the building. Bro, every freaking stagehand he would start greeting by name. And how are the kids? How's your wife? This and that. I didn't even know what their name was. It was always that way. I don't know if it was because I really do have ADD and I was so focused here, but like I worked with Mark Eaton for 5 years and never had one freaking conversation with him, bro.
How many people would you say at a typical show were on staff, were in the building? How many employees?
100, maybe more. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's understandable. You wouldn't know every one of them.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, but Ed knew freaking everybody. And I used to turn to him like, why don't I know these people? Why don't I know anybody's name? And it used to be because you don't pay attention. And I'm like, but yeah, anyway, yeah, Mark Eaton. Okay, so next, bro, we got the Triple H and the Owen match with Chyna in the cage.
Well, you know what? That just brings up an interesting question. Before we go there, if you never had a conversation,
by the way, I just want you to know I hurt my ball sack again yesterday, so I'm in a lot of pain. Go ahead.
Oh, jeez. Right before the holiday,
right before the holidays, bro.
How do you go over that creative then if you've never had a conversation with the guy, like for that particular in-ring? That
was Austin. That was probably Austin. You know, we got together with Austin. We told Austin what we needed to get across. I guarantee you Austin got together with Yeaton, the timekeeper. But basically that was it, bro. Or I was part of that, but like I never had a personal conversation with the guy. You know what I'm saying, bro? So I couldn't tell you if he was married, if he had kids, none of that stuff. And that's bad, bro. This is a guy that I worked with that was there every week. But again, I was always just so focused, man, that, you know.
So, yeah, next is Chyna in the cage, Triple H versus Owen Hart for the European Championship. What happens is the cage is lowered from the ceiling, and Slaughter puts Chyna into the cage, locks her with a chain and a padlock. Before the match starts, while they're doing this, Owen gets the jump on Triple H outside the ring. They have a really good brawl up the aisle, back and forth into the ring, and then the match starts, and Chyna gets raised up in the air. And this was a real cool visual. They had the camera in the cage, different angles showing Chyna. I thought that was really good stuff. At one point during the match, Chyna pulls a saw blade thing out of her tights. You know, she's trying to saw the bar. Doesn't work. She drops the blade on the floor. One note I had here before we continue, I don't know if you noticed this, but we talk about how a lot on the show, obviously the brand knows this, about the actual in-ring product, about making it look like a fight instead of making it look like an acrobatic show. And I just thought, and I've been paying a lot more attention watching these shows in the difference. But when Owen took the post in this match, like, you know, Triple H tosses him into the post, it looked magnificent. And that's the type of stuff, like you see how Owen, you do it in slow-mo, you pay perfect attention, you perfectly see how he doesn't even make contact, and he makes this look like the most vicious thing ever. And that's kind of a lost art too. I just thought that looked brilliant, how vicious that looked when Owen took the post. But at one point, Chyna's able to bend one of the bars, which allows her to escape to the outside of the cage. Mind you, this thing is still in the air, above, you know, higher than the ring. And so she climbs to the outside of the cage while this is in the air, and then she ends up hanging down from it. And while she's sitting there dangling in the air from the cage, Owen gets the sharpshooter on Triple H. Well, all of a sudden, the cage starts to lower to the ground, and Chyna gets out. It's low enough where she can get out, get to the ground. So Owen sees this. Let's go with the sharpshooter. We get a quick shot of the Road Dogg walking away from the production area, so it's made clear that he got Road Dogg got on the cage controls and lowered it. So we have a nice explanation for that. So while Chyna's out of the cage, Owen sees this. He's distracted. Sergeant Slaughter and referees and officials are restraining Chyna, and the referee that's in the match is out there as well. This allows X-Pac to sneak into the ring with a fire extinguisher, waffles Owen, allows Triple H to get the win. After the match, Michael Cole interviews Owen. Michael Cole says, you know, seems like DX has your number. Owen cuts a nice promo saying enough is enough. Things are going to have to change around here.
Bro, it's unbelievable. Again, I was, you know, after watching the show last night and watching this show tonight, it's just unbelievable to me, bro. And you know, a lot of this was Pat Patterson, you know, Jerry Briscoe. They agented a lot of the matches. It's unbelievable the way both parties get over. Owen had clearly had the match won. That's the story. He would have won the match if he didn't get screwed. He gets screwed. Triple H walks away with the victory. It's amazing to me how everybody gets over. Bro, the thing that blew me away in this match was the freaking athleticism of Chyna. Hanging on that cage, and oh my God. Bro, I was watching her. I was getting blowed up just watching her. The strength in her arms, holding her weight up and then throwing her legs up. And I was like, oh my God, if you did not understand what a great athlete she was, that was totally unfreaking believable. But again, you know, creative, you know, bends the bars, gets out of the cage. Well, now is she going to drop to the floor? What are we going to do? No, Road Dogg's going to lower the cage. I mean, there's an explanation and there's a story for everything. I thought it was great all around.
Yeah, and one thing I liked is whoever walked through her with this on the bending of the bars, like the way she was standing was perfect. Like you could see, like instead of just doing this ridiculousness, she had her leverage. She had her foot. You could see like she was angled to get leverage to do that. And I just thought that was a good attention to detail, and just instead of having some cheesy, like, you know, King Kong thing ripping the bars. I thought that was
great
really
point,
cool.
bro. That's an absolute great point.
So yes, Owen does that promo. You can tell he's absolutely flustered and fed up with the shenanigans of DX costing him all these matches for the European title. I think there was an edit here again, something cut out. But then next, Jim Cornette comes out to the ring, and he says that the people in Greensboro still think that the Rock and Roll Express are the greatest tag team, which the crowd booed. Like that didn't. I don't know if they knew who he was talking about at that point. Like, I wonder if they were just confused, thought he was talking about his team, the Midnight Express. But anyway, they booed that. Says he's going to spoil the homecoming. So the new Midnight Express come out, you know, Bob Holly, Bart Gunn, and they're the NWA Tag Team Champions. Dude, I don't know if you noticed this. People flooded to the aisles, to the concession stands when they were coming out.
And that's Greens. What is it, bro?
Greensboro.
Greensboro, and that's Greensboro.
Yeah, like if you haven't watched this yet, watch during this, because there's a wide shot like from the upper hard cam. You just see people just flooding up the aisles like they're going to the bathroom, they're going to concessions. So like that that to me, I like that was like the only thing on the show I felt like the crowd didn't care about was this.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you to go right over the match, bro.
Yeah.
There's really nothing to talk about because I mean, obviously I didn't care about it either, but.
Right, but Lawler has some great lines in this, so we're going to cover those. But the Rock and Roll Express come out, so that's your match. The Rock and Roll Express versus the New Midnight Express. So Lawler says during the match, I'm more interested in this, JR. What colored panties do you think Sable's wearing tonight? and then he said, well, JR, panties aren't the greatest thing in the world, but they're next to it.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was genius. And JR was like, like so beautifully. So yeah, during the match, Cornette gets in the ring. This was so like just old school. He wants to fight the ref. The ref untucks his shirt. Cornette powders. The match resumes, and the New Midnight Express end up winning and retain the NWA titles. So
yeah, I mean, no offense to Holly and Bart, but like I don't even care, bro.
Yeah, the crowd didn't care either.
I'm much more interested in the next match.
So beforehand, we see Michael Hayes. He's interviewing Luna backstage, and she says she's here for one reason, and that's to strip every piece of clothing from Sable's grotesque body. We have the match now. It's Luna and Goldust come out. And Sable comes out by herself, and JR even compared the pop to Ric Flair. Like, wow. Yeah, he said, did you hear that reaction? Pop, as they say, it sounded like Ric Flair came out here. So then Luna rips off the bottom part of Sable's evening gown, which Mark Merrow comes out at this point.
Well, bro, let's talk about that. When Sable rips off the bottom, this popped me more than anything. Now Lawler starts putting over the camera shots. Bro, okay? I mean, which I thought was freaking phenomenal. He's putting over the camera shots when Sable's like, got the bottom half cut out, which freaking popped me huge, bro.
So this brings out Mark Merrow, and he's arguing with Sable on the apron, and he's pointing at, her panties and stuff. So this allows Luna to sneak from behind, rip off the top, so Luna wins the match. Sable, I mean, geez. This bra was phenomenal.
Bro, I would love to get JR. And JR told me he'd do the show because I've done his now like twice. I would love to me and you got to put together a list. And I'd love to get JR on the show and remind him of all of these things he said. Okay, bro, because the line that I would love to tell JR 20 years later, JR, do you know you said this? The line that I love was, are we going to see the Sable bomb in her bra and panties? I would love to remind JR like that he said that line. You know what I mean, bro? It was like, I mean, oh, bro, can you imagine like if you're in the WWE today and like they give you this line and you got to figure out how to write it within the context of the show. Like, where would they even begin, bro? You know what I mean? Right. But, bro, I got to tell you, what gets this so over that I love, that I really, really love, what really got this over is, what's the word I'm looking for? Sable has no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not shy, inhibitedness. Like, bro, she could be out there stark naked. Like, she wouldn't care. Like, she's walking around in this unbelievable bra and panties, and like she could care less. That's a big part of the angle, bro. A huge part. The fact that she don't care. Like, right. I mean, bro, she could have been stripped butt naked. I don't think it would have mattered to her. That really got the angle over. No inhibitedness. What's the word I'm looking for, bro?
I don't know, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, she wasn't inhibited. Like, she knew the story, and I mean, that's what really, really, really got it over. Bro, another perfect example of, look at the finish. You gave everybody what they wanted, She winds up getting stripped because of the Merrow gimmick. So now that's what the fans paid for. That's what they wanted to see. But you can't leave Sable holding the bag. So she's got to go under the ring, rip off Luna's clothes. Everybody gets over. I mean, that's the thing, bro. It's like today in a match, honestly, bro, not even one person's getting over.
But yes, we did see the power bomb in the bra and panties. And like you said, Luna crawls under the ring, Sable follows, and Sable comes back out with all Luna's clothes. So it's implied that Luna's under there naked. So Goldust has to rescue her and wrap her in his robe to carry her out. And this is my favorite JR line. I laughed so hard. They go to a shot while Goldust and Luna are walking out, and it's just Sable standing in the ring. And JR says, "Well, about here is where I hit pause on the tape and rewind and fast forward and rewind." Like, I laughed so hard at that. Like, JR is like so out of character for him. It was hilarious.
Bro. That's
And this is where there's a edit, and then it says "Speaking of Edge." So I would put money that there was an Edge vignette cut out here. So I hope they're not cut out on the Raw episodes that we do. Vince McMahon comes out with Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe, and he reiterates that what he said on Raw, that something catastrophic is going to occur tonight.
Well, what about the little again? You talked about you saw a great nuance before with China and the bars and all that. That's the stuff that I live for, bro. What about Briscoe going over and getting Vince's microphone? Did you notice that, bro? Like, Vince didn't have to call for his own microphone. Briscoe gets his mic, and then Briscoe takes it from Vince and gives it back. It's those little things, bro, that are absolutely brilliant. But, bro, you know what that's all a testament to? Gerald Briscoe, the worker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jerry knowing, being a great wrestler himself and just knowing the small little detail. Mr. McMahon can't ask for his own microphone, and I better get it to him immediately. He's got no time to waste. That's because he knows, bro. That stuff's incredible to me,
So Vince reiterates what he said on Raw. Something catastrophic is going to occur tonight. He talks about the conspiracy theory that he's there to screw Austin out of the WWF title, but then he says the real reason he is there is that not that many years ago at a hospital close by, his mother had the pleasure of giving birth to him, and that he's a native North Carolinian. He says, as far as the conspiracy theory that he's there to screw Austin, he said that the thought that something like that might occur is beneath his dignity, and he will not dignify that with a response. But he will not be held responsible for what happens in the ring tonight and will not accept any responsibility if Stone Cold screws Stone Cold, which is an obvious reference to the Bret Hart promo from the previous year, Bret screwed Bret. So, again, that's a second in-ring building anticipation for this main event. You look at this. I feel like this show alone got the main event more build and anticipation than 4 weeks of today's Raw does for a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Here we are at the pay-per-view. You already got the audience there. They bought it. They're watching it. They're in the seats. But it's not. You're not throwing in the towel. You're still building for this main event, adding excitement. And I think a lot of that also is how much is the crowd into it during the main event. This stuff adds to that stuff. Next is the New Age Outlaws defending the tag belts against LOD 2000 with Sonny. Before the match, Road Dogg's cutting a promo, says the Outlaws want to give them a special treat, and says a personal friend has come out of retirement to coach them to one more victory. So he introduces Dean Smith, and Billy Gunn brings out a blow-up doll wearing a North Carolina shirt.
I'm wondering, bro. It's so fun. Like, we know what Dean Smith means to North Carolina. Like, I'm wondering if the writers they have on this show, like, would even know who Dean Smith is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, bro, honestly, like, I'm just sitting and I'm like, what Dean Smith means to the town. Like, would these young writers today, like, even have a clue who Dean Smith was? It's like,
I cracked up because like JR's like, oh look, it's a blow up doll, and Lawler's like, oh, you recognize that pretty quick, JR. So during the match, we had a interesting finish. The ref gets tied up with Animal. So Billy Gunn, who's not the legal man, grabs the tag belt, runs in, hits Hawk with the belt.
But bro, what about during the match? Lawler again is teasing what's coming up next. Just like he did when he was worried about Sable's underwear.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows Double J is coming up next, bro. Right? So, bro, what about Lawler starts going into how he loves country music? Then he reels off this favorite of his, bro. Okay? That everybody's heard, by the way. Drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. Like, bro, it's like, where does that even come from? Where does that even come from, bro?
What was he said another one later, too.
I got it. I got it. Okay. Yeah, I wrote it down, but bro, drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. That is just so classic, bro.
Yeah.
Did you hear my JR podcast? I asked him about
Yes.
that, bro. Yeah, I said, bro, did you guys just come up with this stuff or what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he put over Jerry Lawler like $1 million, and he even reiterated that that's what he wants to do today. But they're having him do that lovable Uncle Jerry stuff. Like,
gosh, bro, please.
So Road Dogg covers after the belt shot from Billy Gunn. Hawk kicks out. Ref gets tied up again. They go to do another belt spot. Billy Gunn's holding Hawk. Road Dogg goes to hit him with the belt. Hawk ducks. Road Dogg hits Billy Gunn with the belt. And then Hawk hits a belly-to-back suplex, and the ref is out of position, and he's only looking at one of Hawk's shoulders. He counts to 3, so the LOD's music hits. Everybody thinks the LOD won the match. They won the belts. But then the referee tells Howard Finkel that, no, Hawk's shoulders were down. So the winners of the match are the Outlaws. Hawk clotheslines the referee. They hit the Doomsday device on him afterwards, and we see the replay of the finish. Hawk actually had his right shoulder up. Both the Road Dogg's shoulders were down, but the referee's only looking at the one shoulder of Hawk that was down. That's why he counted the 3.
And, bro, you couldn't even do this today because we're not allowed to know the referees' names. You know, They made it clear it was Jack Doan and Jack Doan and Jack Doan. You couldn't even do that today because they'd have to do it and just refer to him as the referee.
Right.
You know, bro, can we go to Sawyer Brown and Double J? Because I just found the next line. Bro,
Yes,
you know what's so funny? You're talking about the play-by-play wrestling here, and I just want to get to Lawler's lines. Because the next song he pointed out, bro, was her teeth were stained, but her heart was pure.
I don't know where
that's another great country and western classic. That's one of the bro, was Double J, that actually was Double J singing, wasn't it?
In my expertise of many years of watching live performances on TV, that was his voice pre-recorded.
Yes.
He lip-synced to his own voice.
Yeah,
yes.
But that was his voice.
It sounded like it. Yeah, I would put money that was his voice.
Yeah, well, bro, I don't remember this at all. I remember the big walkout with me and my baby, with him and Road Dogg and all stuff. And I remember that. I don't remember this like at all. But when I was watching it, I'm like, that's him.
So they performed a whole song.
Like, how bad was that song? Like, and bro, with all due respect, like, honestly, outside of like, you know, the Johnny Cashes and the Willie Nelsons, like, how bad is country music? I mean, honestly, bro, like, this is Sawyer Brown. That was pretty big, and Jeff was friends with them. That's why they were involved in this. But like, how bad was that song, and how bad is country music in general?
I agree with you.
I mean, now if there was a song called "Her Teeth Were Stained and Her Heart Was Pure," I might listen to, bro. You know what I mean?
So after the performance, Steve Blackman comes out, attacks Jeff Jarrett on the stage, gets him in a submission hold. But Tennessee Lee breaks the guitar over Blackman's back to break up the submission. And then Jeff Jarrett puts on the figure 4 while Tennessee Lee is putting the boots to Steve Blackman on the stage.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm guessing, I don't know if this was how it was designed at the time, but at this whole time they're setting up the ring for the Inferno match. You know what I mean? Without having to take a break.
Absolutely. That's exactly right, bro. Absolutely.
So we get to the Inferno match. And for those that didn't watch this, it's an amazing visual. I recommend going to watch this if you have the network. What they did is they put these metal, and I can't think of what they're called. They're like the same things you would see like in a grill or something around the ring, and fire is just coming out of them. The lights were kept low, which I thought was a great touch. Just made the fire look much more impressive.
Bro, this is one of those things where like you throw an idea out there and you're like, can they do this? You know what I mean, bro? It's one of those things. Bro, I remember this vividly during the day. The arena is empty. Jerry Briscoe is out there with Taker and Kane and, you know, the guys who set this up. And for the very first time, they test it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously, like we throw Inferno match out there. Like, okay, like what's this going to look like? And then I remember during the day, bro, them testing it for the first time. And I'm like, this is just unbelievable to me. I mean, just unreal, bro.
Before we get into the match, I was curious about this. When you're coming up with this concept, okay, obviously, like you said, can they pull it off, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, they did that. But also a big part of this has to be, okay, what if neither of these guys wants to be lit on fire? You know what I mean? So do you remember any conversations about, okay, we're actually going to light Kane on fire? Yeah. Will he do it? What was
because, bro, it was safety first. So, obviously, bro, it was an arm. It's not like it was his back and his hair could have caught on fire. I mean, it was his arm. Everything was done safe. I mean, there were, no. So that was they were never worried about that, bro, because they just knew, it was going to be safety first. They were going to do it the right way or not do it at all.
Undertaker tosses Kane out of the ring. And this was a nasty bump because he couldn't hit the ropes to break his fall because he would have hit the fire. So he had to launch completely on just blam, splat right on the floor. So I thought that was a nasty bump for Kane. So at this point, Kane can't get back in the ring because of the fire. Undertaker can't climb out. So Kane starts to walk to the back like he's leaving the match. So Vader makes his return here. We haven't seen Vader, I think, since the sledgehammer shot when Kane whapped him over the head with that sledgehammer in that February pay-per-view. So Vader returns, and he gets into it with Kane in the aisle, and they kind of brawl down closer to the ring. So the Undertaker does his dive over the top rope. This is how he gets out. Takes out both Vader and Kane. Taker lays down Kane with 2 chair shots, which I don't know how much you want to get into this, but there was a reason for that. Paul Bearer tries to get the chair from Undertaker. So Paul Bearer starts running from Taker. Taker stalks him all the way up to the sword.
Running?
Well, Taker wasn't running.
Paul Bearer wasn't running.
Well, I don't know what Paul Bearer was doing. Yeah,
bro. I could have watched Taker stalking Paul Bearer for the next hour. Bro, I could have watched him trying to climb over things because, bro, first of all, he can't run. He'd have a heart attack on the spot. So he's trying to walk fast. I could have watched this all day long, bro. It was incredible.
So Taker's doing this slow stalk. They get up on the stage, and Undertaker grabs the bass drum and puts it over Paul Bearer's head. So Paul Bearer eventually gets out, and he's busted open. So Taker heads back to the ring. Kane is getting up. He kicks Kane, who falls back, arm into the fire. Kane's arm ignites. Undertaker wins the match, and Kane sprints to the back with his arm on fire, which I thought that was a cool panic shot kind of.
That was a matter of, bro, there's this stuff literally that, he coated his arm with that, will ignite, but it won't absorb, the material or his skin or anything for X amount of time. So in other words, he had this on throughout the entire match, and they had to be careful, bro, because through the action, you don't want to get this rubbed off. So they had to be careful. So that's why when it hit the flames, this part went up, but Kane knows there's a time frame of when I have to get into the back. So that's why, as soon as the arm went, he beelined it towards the back because it was probably about, bro, you got 30 minutes to get back here and we got to put it out. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying, bro. All that stuff is laid out.
See, that's interesting because I totally saw something different than that. And that's what I wanted to ask you about, because when Undertaker went back, they don't zoom in. And you can tell, it looked like to me, Kane is wearing a plastic something on his arm. I thought when he got knocked down with the chairs, he went under the ring and slid this thing on.
Did he go under the ring?
When Undertaker laid him out with the chairs and then it was right by the apron, and Kane went face first by the apron. So then he went and chased Paul Bearer and did all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when they come back, I could swear that he's wearing this plastic sleeve up to his elbow.
Bro, I don't think he is, Jeff, but that's where they would have put the stuff on.
Okay.
That's what. So maybe you kind of saw something glisten, or
that could be,
that looked shiny, but that's where they would have gobbed that stuff on and basically said, once you get lit, you got 45 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever it is to go to the bank. That'd be interesting, bro, to go back and see. But I'm 99% positive that they put some, bro, like that gel stuff.
Yeah, that could have been what it was. It could have been the gel.
Yeah, I guarantee you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just liked, and I remember watching this, like just thinking the whole time, they're not really going to light somebody on fire. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking as a fan watching this back in the day. It's not going to happen. No, but they did it. Somebody got lit on fire. It actually happened. And I think this is just one of the many things as we go through how the WWF delivered on what they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
We build something up, it's going to happen. You know
Jeff,
what I mean?
You know what's the funny thing, bro, that you mentioned this? Because, Jeff, I'm watching this show and I'm thinking to myself, the crowd that they're catering to today, the crowds that are going to the arenas today, how would they respond to some of this stuff? Like, literally, this was going through my mind when Sable was stripped naked and Luna's in the back, and she's out there in her purple bra and panties, like looking unbelievable. In my mind, I'm saying to myself, how would these idiots today, like, would they not even want to see Sable like busting out of a yeah? Do you understand what I'm saying, bro? So, and it's the same thing. Okay, Kane's on fire. These idiots that want to see fake high spots, like, what would they think about a guy being on fire? Main event.
So yes, main event. Okay. Austin versus Dude Love, WWF Championship. This is the first match, I believe, that starts a trend throughout the Attitude Era, especially when Stone Cold was involved in the main event. A lot of these main events went all over the arena. You know what I mean? Especially then like the Rock and the Mankind ones as we get way down the road. But it just seemed like it was always important to have a lot of this match take place in the crowd, going up the ramp, by the stage. Do you remember the philosophy and everybody developing this, or was this just like Austin saying, screw it, this is what we're going to do?
Bro, this is the total opposite of, good workers or great workers. It's the total opposite. When you're in the ring, bro, you're confined by that ring. Once you go by the outside, now there's a lot of toys you could play with. Now it's really going to look like a fight. And, bro, let's face it, Austin would be the first guy to tell you, bro, I wasn't a great worker. I didn't care about being a great worker. Bro, Mick Foley never thought about in his mind being a great worker. Mick Foley thought about, like, what can I do new tonight? What can I do tonight that the people have never seen? So leaving the confines of the ring gave them the ability to, use other elements that were around them. And, again, bro, have it look like a fight rather than a choreographed dance. That's the difference, bro.
Yeah, I just like you really don't see that anymore either. So I was always curious if that was just like those particular guys, this is what we want to do.
It is, bro. Yeah. It's those guys. It's when Mick is getting together with Steve and they start talking about the match, they talk about leaving the ring and doing this, that, and the other thing.
So they end up on the Sawyer Brown stage. Great use of that, by the way, throughout this entire show with these guys. But Mick takes a nasty bump off the stage, just straight on his back. Ugly looking. Halfway through the match, here comes Vince McMahon, Briscoe, and Patterson, and they prop a chair up for Vince, and he sits ringside. And I love the shot of him looking at the timekeeper, and then the replay of the timekeeper like nodding his head, like it was so like sinister, like that type of stuff, like where people are trying to be evil, but it's humorous to the viewer. I miss stuff like that, man. Yeah. I would laugh all the time at this stuff, like just so entertaining. So Dude Love gets the abdominal stretch on Austin, just like he did Steve Blackman on Raw. So here's a continuation of a plot thread. Something that happened on Raw, very important for this moment right here. So Vince is on his knees, like pointing at the timekeeper like this. So it's not really clear. I don't know what was supposed to be, but the timekeeper doesn't see it. So I don't know if he just missed it story-wise, or if he was thinking of what Austin said to him earlier, so he purposely didn't do it. I don't remember. I don't know if that comes out or not, but I didn't know at that point. And so the bell is not rung. Vince is going crazy trying to get it. So the match continues. The referee gets knocked out, which leads to a whole bunch of chaos ensuing. They end up outside of the ring. Vince is getting involved, trying to get the chair. There's some chair shots. Eventually, Dude's down. Vince is trying to lift up Dude Love. Austin comes and waffles Vince right over the head with the chair. Pretty vicious shot too, right here. It wasn't no soft shot. Vince ate that one. So he's down. Referee is still out. So back in the ring, Austin gives Dude the stunner, counts the 3 himself. Obviously not a legal finish here at this point, but his music hit anyway. The bell doesn't ring, so the match isn't legally over, if legally is the right word. But Austin's like, screw this, I won. He leaves. So Briscoe and Patterson come out to check on Vince, who's just out cold. They tell Howard Finkel the official result of the match is Austin is DQ'd for hitting a WWF official. Dude Love wins the match by disqualification. Obviously, Austin is still the champ. A nice long scene of Vince getting like the neck thing, and then that orange thing they put around their head before they put him on the gurney, and he's just out cold the whole time. And they go off the air with him on the gurney being let out of the arena.
Bro, 2 things here. Can you imagine in today's wrestling world, can you imagine this finish today, where the finish meant absolutely nothing? It was the story, back then, and the nailing of Vince. You knew it was going to continue with Austin and Dude, but it was the nailing of it. Can you imagine today, finish, this, that, and the other thing? And bro, here's another thing I want to point out. I don't know what happens next week. I have no idea. We saw Vince McMahon get knocked out cold last week and not be anywhere near the show this Monday. You just saw what happened to Vince on this show. What are the odds of not hearing from Vince McMahon on Monday?
Right.
I mean, that's the difference. Like, what are can you imagine? And last night, the same guy gets knocked out cold, and mentioned, Dean Ambrose wrestle Sheamus. Like, unbelievable, bro. Unreal.
Yep, but you're right. This match was a story. And that's the thing with these pay-per-views, and that's one of the main reasons we decided that we're going to do these from this point on, is there's so much story in these pay-per-views that we just be missing a chunk of the narrative if we skipped over these and just did Raws. So,
yep.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Any final thoughts on this pay-per-view?
No, bro, again, it was almost like a 3-hour Raw. It just keeps you interested. It's just taking you to the next show and the next and the next. And these are starting to build momentum. And I told you, Jeff, the mentality was always, this show's got to be better than the last one, and keep it snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. And like I said, I don't even know what happens the next show. I can't remember what happened, but I guarantee you're going to hear from Vince McMahon.
Next week, April 27th. 1998. That is the Raw we will be covering next week. The road to Over the Edge 1998 begins. So what I remember from this build specifically, I remember 2 things. Is Dude coming out in the suit. I don't know if you remember that, where he wants to be the corporate champion, where he's wearing the suit and the tie and he's got the slick hair. I remember that. And I remember Vince dancing with the babes on the stage with Dude's like stripper girls, and it was freaking hilarious. Those are 2 things that stick out in my mind, not having seen these shows in forever, that I remember from this upcoming month. So I do know it's an entertaining build, or I believe this is the match where one of them's the referee and Patterson's the ring announcer, Briscoe's the timekeeper, like I'll remember all that stuff. So this is going to be an entertaining month coming up.
Yeah, no, and I'm, again, I just love to see. I can't wait to see Vince's reaction. I swear to God, bro, sometimes I wish Vince McMahon would look back at some of this stuff and say, like, how did we change course, and why?